Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, attraction coach and founder of The Goddess Next Door. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. Angela Winfield is an Ivy League educated attorney, a life and success coach, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and wife. She has been featured in the Wall Street Journal and is a contributing author to Chicken Soup for the Soul, The Power of Positive. And if that weren't remarkable enough, Angela is totally blind. She believes that obstacles were meant to be overcome and has developed a method for doing just that. Today, Angela and I talk about overcoming any obstacle and her 4 master keys for success and happiness. But before I talk with Angela, as women, we often face an inner battle, not feeling confident as business owners, and are unable to step into our own power. I want to tell you about something really special coming up in October. The Be Great Conference is going to help you have success on your own terms through creating alignment between great work and great money, and learning to trust your badass entrepreneurial self to change the world. Plus, you'll meet the most amazing people while you're there. In fact, you will see some of your favorite past Awakened Goddess Show guests presenting. Mike Iamelli, Dory Epstein Ransom, Reverend Erin Ashley Carty, and 2-time guest, the badass herself, Annie Anderson. Ready to be great? Go to begreatcon.com. That's begreatcon.com for all the details. When you're ready to register, get your ticket at bit.ly/begreatcon. That's bit.ly/begreatcon, all lowercase. And as a proud sponsor of the Be Great Conference, I'll give you 3 months membership to Spark Spiritual Academy as an added bonus. So go check out this life-changing event because it's time to unleash your greatness into the world. Now let me welcome Angela to the show. Welcome, Angela, to the Awakened Goddess Show. I am super excited to have you join me today. You know, this is the first time I have interviewed another Angela, so this is like super cool for me.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. And there's nothing better than 2 Angelas, right?
I know, especially for the Awakened Goddess Show. You have a really inspiring story. And so, you know, usually I don't have people share and go much in detail in their story. I would love to have you share. Why don't we start there?
I guess let's start at the beginning. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with a number of different conditions, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which led to a number of eye conditions, uveitis, glaucoma, cataracts. And that all showed up when I was 4 years old. And it didn't affect me much because I was 4, right? You know, when we're kids, like kids are unstoppable, you know, they're adaptable. And I still had vision. I just went to doctors an awful lot and I had a bunch of surgeries and they tried to correct my vision and save my vision. And they were doing fine until I was about 10 years old and I had a surgery that did not go as planned and my retina detached to my left eye and that left me legally blind, which meant that I had very poor vision, but I didn't need like a white cane that you see people using. I didn't need a seeing eye dog. I just had really thick glasses, a bunch of reading devices, and I was 10. I was still a kid, you know, doesn't impact me, you know, going to go and do what I'm going to do and, you know, have fun at it. It didn't really hit me until I was about in middle school. The fact that being legally blind would really change my life in some pretty dramatic ways. And thinking about what I wanted to be when I grew up, you know, professionally, what I wanted for myself personally in relationships, all that kind of stuff started to look different. And it was a real struggle during that time, grappling with all that and figuring out what was really out there in the world for someone like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I got through it, and if you want, we can delve into that a little deeper. Maybe it'll come up, maybe not. But all in all, I did get through it, and I ended up actually losing the rest of my sight when I was 20, and I was in college. I lost the rest of it, and that was probably the largest turning point for me, where I really had to say, what is it that I want, and what am I willing to do to get it? And it turned out, when I focused on the right goals for me. And I really honestly believe that there are right goals for people, and that we can't all set the same goals for ourselves.
Right.
My success looks different than your success,
Yeah.
and looks different from someone else's.
Totally.
But when I set those right goals, I was able to accomplish it despite my blindness.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because you're an Angela, we're just gonna go right there. I feel like I can do this with you. That was the nice version of your experience. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
From what I suspect, there were some pretty dark times that
Yes.
that you struggled through, and you made it through. So that's part of why I have you here on the show, is because getting through these challenges is very inspirational, and challenges are something we all struggle with. And challenge might look differently, but let's take it deeper. Let's talk about the darkness that comes with the challenge, because I think that that's not necessarily talked about, especially with law of attraction and all of this. We always want to focus on the positive and what it is that we want. But I think it's also beneficial to look at the reality of what comes up when maybe we have a goal and we go after it, and it's not as easy as we think it's going to be. Or we come up with these challenges that just feel like really huge roadblocks. So how about we go there?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so true, because challenges aren't talked about, especially with things like law of attraction and focusing on the positive. All of that is great, and it's wonderful, and it does help.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that you absolutely will incur obstacles. They're just going to creep up. They're going to be there. It's part of life. It's part of the beauty of life, but it's also part of the struggle of life and the way that we grow. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and we do need to go there. So where in the challenge do you want to begin? Because it gets pretty deep and it gets pretty dark.
Okay, I want you to kind of go where is calling you, because I think your your experience, and I think that that just intuitively, I think that you already know what that is.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go right for it.
Go for it.
I kind of alluded to this in the beginning when I was in middle school, that it got very dark and very challenging, and I questioned everything, absolutely everything about what was possible, right? Because I heard all of these positive things that people say.
Yep.
They told me, you can be whatever you want to be, and if you put your mind to it, and they told me all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have no idea. I am a blind woman who happens to be African American as well, and I want these things for myself. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to get married. I wanted to be financially independent, and all of that was up in the air for me. Is the way that I felt. I would never be able to drive. That I knew. I didn't know how I would get around. Everything was kind of just questioning for me. I was like, who's going to love somebody like me? I don't know if I can take care of myself.
Right.
I really, really believed that I would end up living my entire adult life in my parents' house. And that there was nothing more for me. And I didn't want that life at all. And I contemplated suicide many a times, and I attempted several times. And quite frankly, I probably should have died long time ago because of those attempts. And obviously I didn't, but that whole period of time, everything that I believed, like my whole outlook on my life, my whole attitude towards life shifted from someplace that was very dark, very skeptical, very pessimistic, and thinking that absolutely nothing was possible, to opening up into something very different.
And what was that?
The difference was possibility of not knowing. Right? So when you get this negative idea in your head, because you've encountered an obstacle, and this is the way it was for me. I encountered this obstacle of legal blindness. At this point, I wasn't even totally blind yet, but it was legal blindness. And I started thinking about all of the things that weren't possible, And the truth of the matter is, I didn't really know whether it was possible or not. And the people who were telling me all these wonderful things about, I could do it and put your mind to it, they didn't know either. They just chose to encourage me. And I decided for myself to find out who was right. Was this, dark voice in my head right? Or were all these people right? Because I didn't know. And I think that's one of the key things about overcoming an obstacle. Oftentimes we surrender, and not in the good way surrender, but we are defeated before we even attempt to see what's actually true and possible. So when I was thinking that my life wasn't worth living, I was giving up before I even knew what was possible. Like, I had no clue that I would be able to accomplish all that I had back then. And I wouldn't have known until I put one foot in front of the other and actually tried.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a great point that, there are two types of surrender, where we just give up and feel defeated. And then there's the surrender where you're accepting things as they are, and then moving more in an inspired direction of, like you say, not knowing. I mean, that's a really scary place to be when, especially as a child, you don't know what's possible. The people around you don't know what's possible. You have this idea of what you want, but then all of society and all the people around us are not those cheerleaders.
And it's a totally scary place to be when you just don't know. But the flip side is, if you don't know, you get to make it all up too, and that's kind of the fun, empowering part once you start to embrace that, once you start to say, okay, fear is here. And fear is always, with me in a certain respect, because not being able to see is kind of scary, when you're going out there and navigating the world. But it's an emotion, right? You can deal with fear, and you can still explore and see what's possible.
So stepping into that fear, what did you find helped you overcome your fear? And I mean, because you've accomplished so much, and even for people that have their sight and have full capacity of everything, they don't necessarily, go after their potential. They don't stretch. They stay in that comfort zone. So how did you overcome that?
Yeah, that's a great, great question. So the way that I overcame my fear is I did a lot of soul searching to figure out what that right goal was for me. Right? There's something about fear. Like, there's the fear that is going to protect you because your life is in danger. And then there's the fear from an idea, which is a signpost that there's something really, really good on the other side of this, if you can breathe through the fear.
Yeah.
And I really do think it's about breathing through the fear. But I had some really juicy goals. And one of the first ones is actually after I lost my sight totally. I was still in college, and one of the things I always wanted to do was to study abroad for a semester. I'd been abroad a couple of times, and I was like, yeah, I want to spend a full semester in Europe. Mm-hmm. And I had just lost my sight, and I was like, you know what? I'm still going to go. And I took a little white cane and myself and went over to England. And like looking back at it now, it's like, was I crazy? I don't know if I could do that again. I probably could do it again, but looking back, it really boggles my mind. I was like, how did I do that? I left my whole family. I left all my friends and went over there to a place that I did not know, could not see, and had the time of my life. Yeah. Incredible time. And part of it was knowing that the fear wasn't what was going to hurt me. Like the fear wasn't going to kill me. Mm-hmm. It might paralyze me and keep me exactly where I was. But fear, I don't want to say it's your friend, but it's definitely an indicator. Right. Mm-hmm. And there was something really, really powerful on the other side in going through that journey and going to England for me. Mm-hmm. There was a huge amount of self-discovery, a huge amount of confidence that I gained. And I don't know where I would be if I did not have that experience. So it's really about knowing what you need to grow. Mm-hmm. Right? Because the fear is just a sign that change is occurring and that you may need to follow that. And, there's some good ways to kind of test out whether it's a true fear and that you should be concerned about your safety or well-being, and when it's a good fear that's saying, you know what, you need this to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you said, most fear is not truly going to hurt us or harm us. And taking that pause and really asking yourself, am I in physical danger? I mean, because, we're all feeling fear all the time, right? At least if we're growing. If we're sitting in front of the TV eating popcorn 24/7, then there's no fear there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about the power of the human spirit, because that's something I know that you credit your success to. So what is the human spirit, and what is the benefit of tapping into that power?
Yeah, so the human spirit, I love this, right? Mm-hmm. And I do credit my success to the human spirit because it's something that we all possess. And what it is it's this force that's inside of us that allows us to accomplish these amazing things. So when we hear these, inspirational stories like mine, like overcoming blindness, or other people who encounter all sorts of challenges and obstacles, and then they come out the other side just thriving and better for it, that's the human spirit at action. That's what's at work there. I truly believe that that's what we as people, as humans, were meant to do. Mm-hmm. We have this inside of us, and we can access it. So the benefit of really tapping into this power is that we can exceed what we think is possible, right? Because our mind is limited. Right? It just is. That's the nature of it. But our spirit, our human spirit, is really infinite, and we can overcome and exceed and excel and do things that we never thought was possible. That's what the human spirit allows us to do. And I've seen it many, many times, not only for myself, but with my clients, when they really get in touch with, their powerhouse, that human spirit, and that right goal. The combination of getting those two things in alignment helps them to be propelled forward.
Okay, so you keep mentioning the right goal. So how do we find what the right goal is for us?
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I do have a 4-master key system, and one of those keys is education. So it's an acronym, OPEN, open, right? You open your mind, you open your eyes, you open your heart, and you open the door to success and a life you love.
Nice.
And the E part of it is education, but it's not the traditional education, right? I mean, it is to a certain extent, right? Because you need to have the right training and background to do what it is you want to do. But the part that gets left out and the part that needs to be taught is the self-education, right? You need to be the definitive expert in you, Y-O-U. Yeah. Your own understanding of life and things and what you want. So one of the things that I truly believe people need to do is date themselves. Like really, like take yourself out on a regular basis and start spending time with you.
I love it. Put on your high heels and
That's right. You got to know what works for you and your dreams and goals. And that's how you really, figure out what the right goal is. Like when you get comfortable with you and your own skin, that's when that stuff starts to emerge and you can start shedding, the things that, your mother or your father or your friend or this one over there told you that you should want and that you're supposed to do it. Oh, you'd be so great at this.
Yeah.
No, you start to realize, I know what makes me happy. I know where my strengths are. I also know where my weaknesses are. That's what self-education does.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, so tell us the other 3. So, for open.
Yes. Okay. So O is for outlook, which I kind of mentioned when I talked about moving through my dark period, is optimizing my outlook for success. And that's, how you view yourself, the world, and your circumstances. And I like to use a visual metaphor of lenses, right? There are people who wear sunglass lenses. Those are the people who suit the dark in everything. Everything has a little dark tint to it, and they're the pessimist. There's people who wear rose-colored glasses who think everything's bright and sunny all the time. But the thing that you have to watch out for are the corrective lenses. Okay? These are the lenses that are clear and that help you to have 20/20 vision, right? Have perfect vision. But the thing that it really blocks is your natural, unclouded, naked eye vision, right? The corrective lenses are all the things that society and culture tells us that we should want, or this is the way we should view things. What's really, really valuable is how you actually see things with your naked eye. Right?
Oh, I love
that. With that, yeah.
Very cool. And P?
P is for plan. Right? This is like the practical side of it. Learning how to identify that right goal and really focusing in on that. Because when you have the right goal, that will help draw you forward. Right? You hear this thing called stick-to-itiveness and how, you need to have stick-to-itiveness. And it's like, to me, it's like, no. You can't have stick-to-itiveness. You can't just decide I'm going to stick to this.
Right.
You can, but you can be miserable. Yeah, that's the way I feel about it.
That probably lasts like a week.
That's right. Exactly. You need to find the goal that sticks to you, right? And sometimes, you know exactly what it is, but you're not ready for it, like with me, I've always been really, really resistant to doing any sort of like quote unquote disability work and being in that arena. I really tried to be mainstream and I would push it away and push it away and push it away. But it was the goal that like kept coming back to me. Yeah. People kept saying, you need to get involved, or maybe you want to do this, maybe, and it wasn't even just people saying it. It was just the opportunities that were coming up. And, that's kind of the theme in my life that I eventually said, you know what? I do have the right skill set for this, and it's something that I can dedicate myself to. So it's that sort of thing, identifying the goal that keeps coming back to you and sometimes nagging you, and sometimes just that you're so passionate about that it doesn't matter what shows up, you're going to go after it. So it's that's part of the P for planning, and then engineering the steps that are going to get you from where you are to that end goal of where you want to be.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up about being resistant to doing like the disability work, because I think we all have, or that might be a tendency that we all do, is that there's something that keeps showing up for us, and because it's maybe I don't know, it's just something that we've tried to overcome so much in our own life that we're like, no, I don't want to deal with that. Let's move on. I want to like focus on this over here.
Yes. That is so true. So true.
I think I think I'm going to have to reassess that for myself. I'm wondering, what is it that I'm trying to avoid that...
It is a perfect natural fit that keeps saying, are you ready for me yet? Are you ready for me? It's waiting for you. Whatever it is, it's waiting for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And often I think we have trouble seeing it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually kind of, because we did mention the E part of open, but it leads into the N part, which is network. And having the right support system. So sometimes when we have our trusted group, I call it your CPR team, your core personal revitalization team, when you identify those people, they can sometimes see those things, those patterns, that thing that keeps coming up and saying, are you ready for me yet? They can kind of point that out to you. And, it's a very special network because it's not the people that drag you down. It's not the people that are overly critical. Yes, they do, and most certainly hold you accountable. And they do call you out sometimes and say, hey, what about that disability work that you keep putting off and saying that you don't want to do? It seems like something you should take a look at. They definitely do that sort of thing. But they're the people who can see your natural vision and help you embrace it even more. They're the people that revitalize you, that breathe the life back into you and make you the best you.
Yeah, as you're talking about that, I think of, I have two special ladies in my life. Every Friday we mastermind around our businesses, and this happened to one of us. She's always keeps being pulled to working with like brand new entrepreneurs, people that are moving from like the corporate world into their own business, and she keeps avoiding it because she wants to focus on like people that are farther along in their business. And because she hasn't really embodied it and stepped fully into it, and she's still resisting it a bit, there's like, it kind of blocks her from moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
It really does. And that's part of like the challenge, right? So, I like to say there's no order of difficulty in miracles, right? I'm sure heard that quote before, but there's also no order of difficulty in challenges, right? So even though your challenge may not be, blindness or physical disability, those challenges of just being able to recognize your true gifts, your true talents, and your calling, that's probably an even bigger challenge because it's internal and it's deep,
Yeah, that leads perfectly into what I wanted to ask you, because so you're a highly sought after motivational speaker, and to step into that, you have to embrace your disability, you have to embrace your story, and I think a lot of us have trouble recognizing the value in that, and so we tend to shy away from it. So I'm curious for you, what was that journey like of stepping in to owning your experience and recognizing that there was value in it to share with other people and that they really would be impacted and inspired as they are?
Yeah, that was a really interesting journey for me because I needed a big, like, 2x4 to get it into my head that I could actually do it and it had value for other people. For a long time, I had almost tunnel vision. I thought it was really about me and my journey and my goal, and it didn't affect anybody else. Like I was just like really dogged about, okay, I've got to do this. And I wasn't paying attention to anything going around me. And my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, was saying to me, he's like, you should really find a way to share your story. And I was like, yeah, no one wants to hear what I have to say.
Exactly. Yeah. My story, what's the big deal?
Yes. And he's like, you're an inspiration. I admire you. I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to. You're my boyfriend. Yep. Good. We're good there. Nobody else wants to hear this. And it wasn't until I graduated from law school. And I graduated Cornell, and one of the deans, when we were prepping for the graduation, said, you're going to walk across the stage. And he said, people are going to be excited and they're going to applaud. And I still, just completely, I was like, yeah, whatever. They're going to applaud for everybody. And he's like, just walk this way and, we'll have someone on the other side waiting for you so you can, locate the stairs to come off the stage. It's like, okay. And it was the day of the graduation, and they called my name, and everybody in the auditorium, all of my classmates, all of their family members, and even all of the faculty that were on the stage, they all stood and gave me this thunderous standing ovation. And it shook me to my core. I was like, holy moly, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And after the graduation and when we had the reception, people were coming up to me and, my classmates said, I kept coming to class because you kept coming to class. And even people that didn't know me were saying, it was so amazing to see you walk across the stage. And I was just like, wow, people were paying attention to what I was doing. I thought I was all alone and nobody was paying attention. And it was just about me accomplishing this goal. So that was kind of the moment when I was like, okay, maybe this is bigger than me. And it's important. It's not that I was important or that my story was important. It was that individual success and our stories, our journeys are bigger than us. And they can impact people. So that's when I said, okay, well, maybe I'll start to share my story. And I did. And once I started sharing it and seeing how people started to make the same sort of shift and seeing the possibility, that's when I was like, okay, there's no way that I cannot do this. It would be too selfish of me to keep it to myself.
Even though that, at least for myself, I still have that reservation. I feel shy about sharing that. So did you struggle with that, or once you made that decision and had this experience, did you just kind of take that leap?
It was a small leap that kind of just expanded on its own. And it's funny that you say shy, because I was painfully shy as a child, and actually almost all the way through college, and shy. I would not speak if I didn't have to. But something happened for me when I was on a stage and I was sharing my story. It wasn't about my shyness anymore. I wasn't, it didn't feel like it was about me. It wasn't me, sharing my opinion. It was almost like, I don't know, testifying. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's
take it to church.
Yep. It's like the experience I've had is that it feels like something's speaking through you, like you're a channel for divine source. And it's just like, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, where you're opening up that flow, and your story, your message just happens to be how it's shared, how that energy is shared in that moment.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Ooh, you make me want to get up on a stage. so, so I suspect that when it comes down to it, that is why we're all here, is to share our own story, in whatever capacity we're, whether it's that we're doing our own business, we're an entrepreneur, or it guides us to who we serve, like as a lawyer. Do you agree, or
I totally agree. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. I really think that it's about us determining what our story is and what our unique gifts and talents are. So regardless of how that shows up, like I don't care if you're a janitor, mm-hmm. right? There are janitors, and I say this because there's a janitor that changed my life in high school. He was the one that would, say hello to me and smile at me when I was there, and it just brightened up my day. It's about serving in the way that you were meant to serve and sharing your story however you were meant to share it. And it looks different for everybody. But I think that really is the purpose for all of us, is to find a way for us to shine and share our gifts. Mm-hmm. And, part of that may be, running your own business or getting up on stage and sharing it, orally. But that is truly it. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, I love that. So I'm curious, who's been the greatest influence in your life?
Oh, that's a great question. So, the greatest influence in my life has been me. Right? Nice. And I say that humbly because I believe that for everyone, you are the greatest influence in your life. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you're the greatest person in your life. It doesn't mean that you haven't been inspired and motivated by other people. I certainly have, and I do have those people in my life. But the decisions and choices after they've been shown to me either divinely or divinely through other people, you influence that. You influence the course of your life by those choices you make. But the people who have been the greatest inspirations to me, my mother, for one, and Oprah.
Oprah,
that's right. Oprah's on.
I know. I think I saw a picture of you and Miss O.
Yes. I went to the Life You Want weekend, and I got a chance to meet my shero.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, she has brought so much to us. Yeah, I remember I've watched her since I don't even know how old I was when I started watching her, but yeah, she is amazing. Is there anything that you feel inspired to say at this point?
I think probably the most important takeaway, and the thing that I'm feeling kind of drawn to say, and it may be repeating, but it's this idea of being the greatest influence and the greatest leader in your life. Mm-hmm. When challenges present themselves, you really do have a choice of how you respond to it. You don't have a choice as to what it does to you. If it's a physical condition, you don't necessarily have a choice as to how you feel about it. But just know that feelings were meant to be felt, mm-hmm. and you were meant to overcome. Like, that's kind of the bottom line of it. Like, this is an experience, as is everything in life. And when you really identify what's important to you and how you want to share your gifts, it will help lead you to be the greatest leader of your life and to overcome that obstacle and, influence other people and impact other people in a very positive way. You have that power, and the reason you do is because you have the human spirit. And it's really about using, the 4 master keys, the outlook, optimizing your outlook, coming up with that practical plan, becoming the definitive expert in yourself and getting in that self-education and identifying your network and that core personal revitalization team that's going to help you open up and overcome whatever challenge it is you're facing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you were to leave the listeners with a practical tip, like what's one small thing that they can start with?
The one small tip I would say that you can start with right now is to take yourself out for a date. Like put it on your calendar within the next week, if at all possible. 30 minutes for you.
Yeah.
For you. And make it something different than you normally do. Like if you're a meditator, that's great. Keep up with your meditation, but do something a little different. Maybe try going out and having a cup of coffee or a meal with yourself or taking yourself to a movie, whatever it is. Just do something with yourself and start to get that comfort level. And that's going to help you start to clarify what the right goal is for you. You might know it already and it might just confirm it for you, or it might move you on a different course that's a little more fulfilling and a little easier. Because when you are on the right course, things start to flow with ease and grace.
Yes. Yeah, and one of the things that I've struggled with, but have finally learned, I hope, is that it's not about chasing after the goal or trying to figure out what the goal is. It's kind of like what you said earlier, allowing it to show up and allowing the goal to move you forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Angela, this was like amazing.
So much fun.
Yeah. So tell us how people can get in touch with you, how they can connect, how they'll find you.
Yes, you can visit my website, www.angelawinfield.com. There's all kinds of stuff on there, and you can contact me directly through that website, or you can friend me on Facebook and like my page, www.fb.com/TheAngelaWinfield.
Nice. The Angela Winfield. Yeah, and I'll put links on the show page so y'all can connect with Angela. And I understand you have created a really juicy gift for the Spark Spiritual Academy members. Will you tell us about that?
Yes, I created an awesome gift, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
So what it is the life book for the greatest leader of your life home study program. And this life book is 30 plus pages that walks you through each of the 4 master keys that we talked about. It has exercises there so you can fill it out, and it takes you through all of that. Mm-hmm. And it becomes your personal guide through your life. It's a fantastic, fantastic tool that I developed. That is yours, along with 3 bonuses. Woo! You've got your Optimize Your Outlook, 11 questions to elevate your outlook immediately. Mm-hmm. A 2-step guide to overcoming procrastination, because that is a challenge of many of us.
Yes.
And then the 3rd bonus is an accelerator exercise to pump you up and get you motivated.
Awesome. Gosh, well, I think all they need to do is come back and listen to this show again.
You can certainly do that too.
I know, it lit me up. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angela, for joining me today. This was such a pleasure to talk with you, and yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, cool. And now I'd love to hear from you guys. The most awesome discussions happen after the show over at theawakenedgoddess.com. So get yourself over there and leave a comment right now. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, subscribe to the show. And of course, it would be absolutely amazing if you shared this with all of your friends. And if you want even more incredible resources, join Spark Spiritual Academy to get this month's Inspire Living collection of bonus content. See you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Awakened Goddess. I hope you enjoyed today's show and took away something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at thegoddessnextdoor.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.